Hi, everyone. This is Kale Mary.
And this is Soda.
Soda and I are here to talk about the third season of Strange New Worlds. Um, Obviously, it aired a few months ago. We both have an opportunity to watch it, and we're very excited to really get into this particular season and just a lot of the changes that are happening with our characters and wow. Um,
Yeah.
so for you, Soda, did you watch this on a weekly cadence every episode that came out?
Yeah. I watch it pretty much, week to week. I think the season is really kind of an accumulation of a lot of trends in the show that I've noticed before. And I think
Hmm.
we'll talk about it more after we done recapping the episodes, but yeah. Changes is definitely something that's happening.
Um, yeah, I I started watching it on the weekly drop, and then due to some things going on, had to pick it back up when it was all almost completed, and so um, I really had an opportunity to watch a couple of or episodes at a time and got to the end much faster than having to do like a weekly watch as they dropped. On the second half, I would say. The second half went very fast for me in this
Yeah.
regard. Let's start with just talking about the first episode and where we open up. I
Yeah.
know in the second season we were left with a cliffhanger.
Yeah. The first episode of the third season is called Hegemony Part 2 because it's a part 2, Last season we ended on a massive, massive cliffhanger, the colony has been invaded. The colonists and some of the crew members were kidnapped on a Gorn destroyer. Um, we left the Enterprise in the middle of battle. Captain Batel has been infected with a Gorn embryo. Massive cliffhanger.
Massive, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, essentially the Gorn capture part of the crew, and there's suddenly this demarcation line between the Gorn establishing what's their territory versus everywhere else, and
and they
Pike's
seem
been
to
given orders
be
that you can't cross it.
and they seem to be wanting more and more territory, which Pike is pretty sure they are going to, and start encroaching on Federation space pretty soon. And the narrative sort of supports him. It does seem like the Gorn's intention.
Yeah, I have to say the opening scene for the crew that were captured by the Gorn is very gross.
Yeah, it's very
There
wet.
it's very it's very much horror movie
Yeah,
style. They're essentially stuck in the digestive system part of the ship, which means
yeah,
they're in these sacks that are slowly digesting their bodies. It's Mbinga, Ortegas, Sam Kirk, and La'an are the ones who were captured.
yeah.
I think maybe someone else, but he didn't make it.
I think some colonists. I think these are the
Yeah,
ones. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Um. Yeah.
uh, and it's not good. Um,
No.
yeah.
Especially not for Lan because of her past trauma, and yeah, Ortega's also doesn't seem to be coping very well.
Well, I mean, when you wake up with your hand missing,
Yeah.
it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Um, so effectively, other than what's going on the Enterprise and them trying to decide how they're going to go save the crew, um, those that are stuck in the Gorn ship are fighting for their lives. They're like, how do they get out? How do they get away? And that's their essentially their only purpose. It's
Yeah.
basically
To escape the Gorn
uh
ship. Yeah.
Yeah, to escape the Gorn ship. So they ultimately figure out a way to try and get out, but luckily by that time the Enterprise has showed up to save them.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
And it's really in the nick of time because Ortegas gets hurt even worse than the missing hand part. She gets very seriously hurt, and the Enterprise really shows like at the last minute. On the Enterprise, as I said before, aside from the crew trying to find a way to get their missing crew members back, there's also Captain Batel, who's been infected with the Gorn, and Chapel is alone in the sick bay. Well, she's not alone, but Mbenga isn't there because he's on the Gorn ship. So Chapel is sort of feeling in his shoes and is trying to figure out a way to keep Batel from dying.
That's going on. Obviously Pike is not been given direct orders to go save his crew, but Admiral April has said unofficially, we need you to find a way to show the Gorn that we're not just going to let them, you know, roll over us and infiltrate the Federation space.
Yeah.
Um, so they end up using, I think, Scotty's device to kind of almost cloak themselves or make themselves look like another Gorn ship, and then essentially follow the Gorn to what looks like the way that they enter their home world, and they try and essentially, I don't know how they figure it out, but they figure out the Gorn may have a hibernation cycle.
Well, before in the second season, they kind of started like hinting that the Gorn kind of
Yeah,
communicate with each other based on light somehow.
yeah.
And now they kind of figure out that the Gorn life cycle is sort of controlled by solar flares. And they decide that, they figure out that they have, like you said, a hibernation period somehow.
Hmm.
And they realize that if they can, recreate a solar flare that can convince the Gorn that it's hibernation time, they won't have to deal with them, essentially. um,
So they, yeah, rig up an artificial solar flare, something like that, and um, use it to essentially attack the Gorn ship, and at the same time rescue the crew members who are piloting a small Gorn
yeah,
vessel trying to get out of the ship.
yeah.
Yeah.
And on the
So everyone's
Enterprise,
reunited.
yeah. And then Spock and Chapel kind of realize that, instead of they try to find a way to keep Patel alive, while she has a Gorn baby trying to grow inside of her, and then burst out of her like those aliens from Alien. Um, they figure out that one way to stop it would not be to cut it out like they initially think, because that would kill her, but to kind of put this embryo also, into some kind of sleep so it won't try to grow
Hmm.
and burst out of her. And they do it with the help of number one's Illyrian blood. Um, and they managed to do it. So, the episode kind of resolves. Honestly, the ramifications of the episode will be shown in later episodes, but
Hmm.
it kind of resolves very neatly.
It does. You think, well, they've saved their crew members, they saved Battelle, and they've effectively shut down the Gorn threat for at least a short period of time.
I mean, they kind of hinted at before a longer time, like, right? Like number
Well,
one, number one
yeah,
says it. We are passing the problem along to somebody else in the
yeah,
future.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they make that comment, but I'm still not certain how they could be certain it was a long hibernation cycle.
yeah,
But yes, we do accept that because effectively the Gorn, you know,
yeah. They're
well,
dormant.
will show up. They're supposed to show up in TOS. So yeah,
Yeah,
somebody else's problem is right.
yeah,
Um. So yeah, that basically is the end of, I'll say, the Gorn saga for the moment. And when we step into the second episode, we're a few months away from what happened.
yeah. The second episode is called Wedding Bell Blues. It's been 3 months exactly after the incident of the first episode. Um, and for those of you who remember, last season, Chapel wanted to go with Dr. Corby to an internship with Dr. Corby away for 3 months. Which she did after the events of the previous episodes, and now she's bound to return. It's also the Federation Day Centennial. It's been 100 years since the Federation was established, and Pike wants to throw a gala on the Enterprise to cheer everybody up. Spock asks Lan for dancing lessons to prepare for Chapel's return and for the gala. Um, and we are introduced to two new characters for the season. One of them is Beto Ortegas, which is Erica Ortega's younger brother, who has a film camera that he carries around everywhere. He's kind of a passionate, kind of budding filmmaker, you can say, and he seems very interested in Uhura. Um, Ortegas doesn't seem to have taken the events of, previous episode 3 months ago very well. She was very badly hurt, and it seems that she was also mentally scarred from the event.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one. Another character that we're introduced to, though not by name yet, is Nurse Gamble, who is a nice young nurse on the Enterprise. And I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like this person is the staple of one of those staple characters of the show. So what could possibly happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chapel returns from internship and she arrives with Dr. Corby. And much to Spock's chagrin, it turns out that Corby and Chapel are dating. Even though Chapel last season broke up with him because she wasn't ready for a commitment yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, basically this is what will be like the pattern of episodes throughout the season is we get something very serious and then we may go into an episode that is more humorous or but yet is really more focused on the characters and what's going on there. Obviously Spock is disheartened by the fact that Chapel's got a new boyfriend.
Yeah.
um and he knows that the other crew are interested in Chapel and Roger Corby, and they're like listening to, oh, how did you meet, and um hearing all this romantic stuff about him. And Spock goes off to drink by himself, and lo and behold meets a mysterious bartender.
Yeah. It seems that along with Corby and Chapel, there was a third unnoticed guest arriving.
Yes.
And that guest is really, really interested in all this romantic drama, right? The Spock, Chapel,
Yeah.
Corby love triangle. Um,
So cue the the
cue the
interference.
cue the interference, indeed. Yeah, it seems that suddenly something changes about reality, and instead of a gala, suddenly the Enterprise is hosting a wedding.
And it's Spock and Chapel's wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Spock just wakes up in bed with Chapel and everything's perfect. They're about to get married. Corby's the best man.
Yeah.
But it turns out that the best man has some reservations about what seems to be happening in this new reality. Um, Corby is essentially the only one at that time that is fully aware that something is very wrong.
Yeah.
Spock and Chapel should not be together, let alone getting married, because that's his girlfriend. And he effectively wakes Spock up out of his delusion by getting Spock angry. And Spock's, of course, his conscience has got to step in now, right? Because none of this is real. Everybody is a everybody is walking through this like mass hallucination, and they're preparing for his wedding, and he and Corby are the only ones who know. So yeah.
Yeah.
Shenanigans, what can you say?
Shenanigans. Yeah. I really liked. Yeah, it was a fun episode. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I like Chris Darby. I liked him in this role. Yeah, it was just a fun kind of light episode after all the action. Next one.
Yeah. They eventually figure out that there is an extra being on the ship, and it's probably the one who's created this new reality. They try to confront it, and it is very much like don't mess with my little drama that I'm creating here.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Spock convinces Chapel um, that they are not together. They should not be getting married, and she's in love with someone else. And yeah, she
Yeah.
remembers she's in love with someone else. So they've spoiled all the fun for this being, and cue the parents showing up, the being's parents showing up and setting everything back to normal.
Yeah, Q again is the right word there. The parent is being played by John Delancey, who has, of course, played Q in various other episodes, in various other shows of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, this. I think we all kind of realized immediately once the. I know I did for sure. Like the reality, when the reality changed and everybody was essentially playing out this little drama, and this being was having a good time watching all of this melodrama. It immediately harkened back to, like you said, Q one, because of who's playing the being,
yeah,
but also Trelane, because at the end when the parents show up and like, you can't mess around with these humans or
yeah.
these other races.
I mean,
It's
it's been
very Trelane.
yeah. I mean, it's long been a theory that Trelane is a Q,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
episode kind of seems to confirm that.
Yep.
Um, yeah. Like I said, it's cute, but it's like it's one of those things of Strange New Worlds kind of taking an idea that was already done in another Star Trek show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah,
We're gonna see that again.
yeah,
Quite a lot.
yeah,
Um so we do leave at the end of the show where I just want to make a remark where Beto is thinking about how he can um, enter the contest to do the documentary for Starfleet,
yeah,
and so that is just a hint of kind of what's going to come. So while he's been there, he's very interested in filmmaking. He's like visiting his sister. Um, Ultimately, he's going to be the what we call like the peanut gallery, or he's going to be the eyes on all the action going on this season
yeah,
from the outsider perspective.
yeah,
Yeah. So that takes us back into the third episode,
yeah. Shuttle to Confori.
to the problems of the day. The number one being that whatever they did to help Battelle, um, fix her little Gorn problem is no longer working.
Yeah,
Um, and so she's in danger again of she's essentially like almost still infected,
the
and
infection
they
basically
figure
returns. Yeah,
yeah, and they figure out that there's really um only, they hope, a solution. This uh chimera flower that exists on this planet that
the
technically
Chimera
nobody's,
Blossom. Yeah,
yeah, technically where nobody's supposed to go.
yeah. It was a planet that was originally it was under Federation control. The Federation had a research station on it, but
Yeah.
after the Klingon War, it kind of became disputed territory, and it was agreed that neither Klingons nor Federation are allowed near
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's off limits, but that's not going to stop Pike
yeah,
and the crew from basically acquiring this blossom to try to save Batel's life. So they go out there. Mbinga and Pike go down to the planet and search for this blossom while the crew is kind of hiding, in orbit
Yeah.
or
The
close by.
Enterprise is like right on the border of the no-fly zone,
Yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so we really have what's going on the planet versus what's going on in space.
Yeah, because let's just say that just like the humans aren't really adhering to the agreement, the Klingons are all also not very much adhering to the agreement. On the planet, really, it's only Pike and Mabenga are going to, minimize the risk. And when they land, they find out that the planet has a lot of flora, but no fauna, no life signals that aren't plants.
Yep.
But there are a lot of bodies there of Klingons and humans that seem to have been attacked by something.
Oh yeah, like ripped open.
Yeah.
um,
And they can't figure out, what happened to these people. Um, they do find the plant, the Chimera Blossom. Turns out it's a very dangerous plant. It really needs to be handled very, very carefully because in large doses it can be toxic and dangerous.
to the point that it would turn you into a zombie.
Yeah, kind of. It turns out there was a whole story there about the planet kind of mixing. The plant basically has the ability to combine genetic materials of different things,
Yep.
and it kind of latched onto some kind of undying moss, and then latched onto Klingons and humans, and turned them into zombies. Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a zombie episode.
And unfortunately, Mbinga and Pike realize they're not the only ones down there on the planet.
Yeah,
A trio of Klingons have showed up, and they soon realize that the Klingons are um, kind of there for them.
yeah. The Klingons have a
Yeah,
very specific agenda against Mbenga for
yeah,
his actions in the Klingon War, and also against his actions last season with Ambassador Ra. In
yeah,
the yeah,
yeah. So the head Klingon is the daughter of Dakra,
yeah,
and obviously last season Mbinga killed Dakra. He was essentially a war criminal that got away.
yeah,
Mbinga corrected that. And I guess the house of Dakra or whatever it is suffered greatly after he died, and she's there for vengeance
yeah,
against Mbinga.
yeah, yeah.
Meanwhile, they're being chased by zombies.
Yeah. On the planet, and the Enterprise is kind of trying to figure out how to help Pike and Mabinga without, risking another war of the Klingons, essentially, for, breaking this treaty. And it seems like Ortegas, like we said last episode, Ortegas didn't seem to be dealing very well with her trauma from the Gorn ship. And Ortegas seems very aggressive and kind of bordering on insubordination in a lot of cases,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I mean, when they realize the Klingons are there, um, she, instead of continuing to hide, she kind of announces their presence and puts them all in, uh, jeopardizes their position.
Yeah.
Um, some insubordination, basically, from Ortegas on that front. Um, Meanwhile, on the planet, Mbinga and Pike um, are running from zombies with the Klingon who's left, who's also trying to kill Mbinga. Pike is eventually realizes that this particular blossom is not going to cure Batel per se. It's going to help her merge with her Gorn DNA,
Yeah.
and that was the ultimate decision by Batel, and she didn't let him know that. So she's choosing to become a hybrid essentially, and they really are like, what's the only way to save her life? That's ultimately when they escape the planet with the blossom, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Batel uses it and becomes a hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really noticeable, they don't just like
Yeah.
put like glue on a Gorn mask on her or something, but yeah, apparently she's now
Yeah.
a Gorn hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means she may have the instincts of Gorn and some other characteristics, but like you said, she doesn't look like it. You wouldn't know by looking at her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, this episode is like the most forgettable one this season. I mean, it's fine, it's nice. I enjoyed watching it, but it wasn't very memorable for some reason.
I don't actually didn't enjoy watching it. Well, I was not surprised by like the Ortega subordination. To me, that was probably the most interesting thing. Is like we know she's had trauma, and obviously sometimes that shows up.
Hmm.
Like you can't contain that. So I was more interested in like what was going on the Enterprise and with Ortegas than I was what was going on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe the Klingon plot is a little overdone at this point. Yeah.
And also because you don't know what's going to happen later in the season, right? But you're like why is Batel still having a problem?
Yeah.
Why haven't we just resolved that? And of course, we don't know the answer at this point. But it just felt like in the moment, do we really have to go do this again and like bring back the Gorn problem and have you guys go off the books and try to fix it? Um, but then I realized, well, if they're doing this to make her a hybrid, it's probably important for some
Yeah,
plot
I guess.
reason.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, when I say, I mean, there are worse episodes this season, which are
Yeah,
memorable for the wrong reasons. So I guess, being forgettable is not the worst thing you can be.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And also, I don't like to be reminded often about Mbiga's dark past.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really like,
I'm over it.
yeah.
I hate to say it.
I'm really disappointed because, the last episode that dealt with, that we talked about, Ambassador Ra, it kind of left
Hmm.
things ambiguous, and I thought it was really nice and interesting. And then this episode is like, nope, we are killing off all ambiguity. He did it. It's like,
Yeah,
why? For what
I
purpose?
know. I know. Um,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
moving on to the fourth episodes.
A space adventure hour.
A
Yeah.
space adventure hour. This one is certainly, again, we're bringing back another comedic episode, if you will.
And another
A
classic,
lighter
but
episode.
and also a
Yeah,
classic Trek trope. Did
so
you miss
classic.
holodeck episodes? Did you miss it? Because you're going to get it. Yeah, so Lan is assigned to test a new piece of technology that has been installed on the Enterprise, a recreation room called the holodeck. Um, she asked the holodeck to create a murder mystery in the style of her favorite literary detective, Amelia Moon. Um,
Hmm.
have we heard about this before? I feel like it should have been established before that Lan likes this character, but whatever. Um, yeah. So the
I
holodeck
mean,
create
naturally, it has to be a detective because how many like detective mysteries in the holodeck have we seen in Star Trek
so
franchise?
many, so many.
Yeah.
The holodeck creates a murder mystery set in the 1960s that involves the murder of an executive producer of a sci-fi show called The Last Frontier, which is about humans exploring space. Sounds very familiar. Um, yeah, but of course, something goes bad. The holodeck starts taking power from the rest of the ship, and Lan has to solve the mystery to make it stop. Um, it's cute. It's a cute episode. It's a fun concept. But again, it's kind of like the lack of originality and yeah, can't you do anything? It really feels like, it really feels like a lot of. I've had this complaint for a lot of episodes of Strange New Worlds, and it's like, you know, um, Lower Decks also brought back a lot of ideas from other Trek shows, but it felt like it let the characters play with them more because they had stronger characters. The characters on Strange New Worlds don't really add anything to these concepts, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like it's a holodeck episode and it's a classic holodeck episode and there is no original twist on it or anything else. It really
No.
is just what you expect it to be.
Yeah. It's a filler episode.
Yeah, basically.
Really, the only purpose of some of these filler episodes, other than to just, like you said, not give you anything original, but maybe to move forward some of the character stories. That's it. Um, the only thing I appreciated about this was the opening scene, which was the Last Frontier show. We got to see the '60s sci-fi
Yeah,
show in action, and um, watching Kirk
yeah,
be the captain and basically do some Shatner acting was amazing.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
That was cute. It also, I think, like, like you said, because its purpose is to expand on character relationships, like we we get the feeling that Lan and Spock are growing closer.
yeah.
But
So
that's
yeah, that's
basically
where
it.
we leave the episode. Is Spock and La'an are they were obviously friends. I think we forgot to mention Spock had been taking like dance lessons from La'an,
We mentioned he
which we
started
learned
doing,
2 episodes
yeah,
ago.
yeah, he started doing the gala and apparently he never stopped. So yeah,
Yeah. Um, so
yeah.
now we see the potential for Spock and La'an, essentially to be more than friends at the end of this episode.
I'm not so sure, but like we'll discuss this later because throughout
Yeah.
the season they kind of talk about it, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is basically just a filler episode, yeah.
hmm Oh, and they decide the holodecks are not ready for ships.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
The other person who gets some screen time is Scotty, because he's so used to solving problems on his own. And when he realizes something is going wrong with the holodeck, he tries to solve it and kind of makes it worse. And then he essentially ends up talking to Una, and one, they kind of help solve the problem. They send Spock in, right, to help La'an figure out how to get out. But
Yeah.
it's Scotty. Scotty's kind of on a journey to feel less like a guest on the Enterprise and more like a part of the crew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah. Okay, so on to the next episode. The next episode is called Through the Lens of Time. And that's where the plot thickens, you can say.
hmm
Chapo and Corby lead a mission to explore some ancient ruins, some ancient temple that they found. Of course, the landing party gets trapped inside the ancient ruins, um, and things go downhill very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah,
So what's notable is that as you mentioned, there's a new nurse Gamble on the ship.
yeah,
Gamble is picked by Mbinga to kind of like go on the mission, and Gamble's very excited. He's been wanting to get on a mission for a while. Um, so we kind of open with the perspective of Gamble, who's like, "Oh, it's so happy and excited. It's my first time getting to go on a mission. I didn't know what was in store for me." And we're like, "Yeah, you don't," because immediately they get inside the temple, and he picks up this glowing orb, and it burns his eyes out,
yeah,
literally.
yeah,
It's awful. So Gamble has to be taken back to the Enterprise to be treated immediately, and then the others who are in the temple are trying to figure out what happened, and that's when they get stuck or trapped, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It turns out, yeah. So it turns out that I think when they find Gamble, with his eyes burned out, they kind of think he's dead, right?
Oh yeah, I mean he
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he looks
it
bad.
looked bad.
Yeah, and
It
then
looked
they
bad.
beam him back to the ship, and suddenly he wakes up, but all of the signs, all of the the medical equipment shows that he's still dead. So that's a little creepy.
And even though he's, I mean, I don't know, Mbinga cannot fix his eyes. Like
Yeah,
something's preventing him from like regenerating the eyes or whatever. And this is when you begin to see the signs of what we'll term possession.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
I call
yeah,
this the possession episode.
yeah. Basically, it turns out that the temple may have not been a temple at all. It
Hmm.
housed an evil ancient entity called the Vesda, which they refer to as some kind of ancient evil, like the source of evil or something like that. Um, and it seems like one of those Vesda is basically taken over Gamble's body, and
Yeah,
it seems like the Gorn have dealt with the Vesda before, because when Batel encounters, the possessed
gamble
Gamble, she suddenly becomes very, very aggressive, in a very Gorn manner.
and attacks him, and they have a fight.
Yeah,
Gamble escapes, of course.
yeah,
Well, let's put it this way: Gamble gets subdued and put in the brig, but Gamble then escapes the brig, and yeah, it
yeah,
is essentially going around being evil.
yeah,
What else can you say? Um, so, but back in the temple, we'll just keep calling it the temple.
yeah,
Um, so the crew there is trapped, and they get split up.
yeah.
Um,
They're in the same
so
room, but they're split up.
yeah,
Yeah,
and they realize that it's because this temple is able to do something with like I don't know, we'll just call it like interspatial reality, whatever.
I
So
think
you
it's
can be in
a
the same room with
temporal
someone and
thing,
not even
right?
know they're there.
Yeah. I think it's a temporal thing, right? They also talk about it does something with space and time.
Space and time, yeah,
Yeah.
just great way to put it. So they kind of have to work together, even though they can't see each other, in order to reunite
Yeah.
and figure a way out of the temple. Um, Something to note here is that Chapel is the one who used her blood to open the temple doors, and therefore it's kind of keyed to her as the one to lead them back out of the temple.
Yeah.
So it depends a lot on Chapel in that respect. Now, in the process of, I'll say, getting out of the temple, they realize this temple is actually there to house this ancient evil, or essentially keep it contained. And that's probably what infected Gamble.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely something that escaped the temple that should not have, and the Enterprise, meanwhile, is trying to deal with containing Gamble, and like what do they do with him? Um, Much to Mbinga's grief, because he's the one who recommended Gamble for the mission, and Gamble has like suffered a fatal accident.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the risk of going on on the mission in
yeah.
Starfleet. Yeah.
I mean, long story short, they find a way out of the temple, and they learned something about the Vesda, and obviously the, I don't know, the Najal or the Macroons and their history, and how important this temple is to containing whatever this evil might be. And they also managed to subdue Gamble and essentially, like, they think like obliterate him, if you will.
Sort of, yeah, but
You're left with the impression the evil is not gone.
yeah, definitely.
It's somehow still lingering on the Enterprise. The end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting episode. It's definitely kind of hinting for the future of Dr. Corby,
Hmm.
who was like fascinated with ancient technology and ancient
Yeah.
civilization, like we'll see, in the original series eventually. Um, and there is this one thing that Strange Worlds keep bringing up again and again, which is that like some behaviors are like coded into your DNA for in Strange New Worlds. You have
Yeah.
like the Gorn dealt with the Vesda before, so now that Batel has Gorn DNA, even though she is not a Gorn, she didn't like grow up among the Gorn. She doesn't like know anything about Gorn culture. She's immediately able to sense the evil Vesda and know that it should be attacked because it's evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is one of those episodes where you don't get like a anything neatly wrapped up, or just kind of, you don't get the feeling like, oh, we're not going to revisit this again. You kind of get the sense this is a pivotal episode in the
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
for setting forth the tone of the rest of the season. It's a mystery, right? Like, why is Batel recognizing this evil? Why does Pelia keep saying like, oh, this is the ancient evil, and we don't want this to get loose, and it's be the end of all of us? Kind of,
Yeah.
doomsday saying. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Also, I feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity that like I wish Gamble was introduced in a previous season, so we would like know him a little better, and
right.
it's not like oh, so sad, this character that we've seen like 5 minutes of in total is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's the fifth season, so it's kind of the halfway point, right?
Yeah. Basically,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the halfway point. We know we're going to probably have to come back to some of the plot threads that were here. Um, but we move on to episode 6.
Episode 6. Yeah, the cell had to eat its own tail. Oh, its tail, not its own tail, but yeah. This is a Kirk-centered episode, actually, which is interesting.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So Kirk is serving on the USS Kirk. I mean, of course, James Kirk, not his brother Sam Kirk. He doesn't get an
Yeah.
episode. um, yeah. So Kirk is the first officer, right, on the USS Farragut,
Yes,
and
under
yeah,
Captain Varel.
yeah.
Um, and they encounter. Well, they're out just doing their thing, and
Yeah, they
then
survey a planet and then they
yeah,
encounter a scavenger ship called the Destroyer of Worlds, which attacks the planet and attacks them by proxy because they are very
yeah.
near it.
Like,
Uh,
I
the
don't know
f-
what they called it, like Chachka, something like that. That was the
Tchotchkes?
Klingon term for it.
No, okay, whatever.
I wrote it down. Yeah, it's basically a monster ship. It kind of looks like a monster, and it's got like tentacles and a big mouth, which looks like teeth. But essentially,
Yeah,
it is a scavenger ship, so it's there to like attack and pick apart and consume ships, and kind of almost assimilate them. I mean, that's why it has so much different technology in it. What they realize,
yeah,
but the Farragut is badly damaged and in distress.
yeah.
Um,
So the Enterprise, of course, gets the call and immediately comes to their
yeah.
aid, and the scavenger ship attacks the Enterprise and captures it.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is in the belly of the beast,
Yeah,
kind of literally.
Spock beamed over to the Farragut before it happened. So Spock is on the Farragut, helping Kirk, who was, the captain. Captain Varel was hurt, so so Kirk is now in command of the Farragut, and Spock is there to help him.
Along
Y-
with Chapel, Scotty, and Uhura.
Yeah, but let's face it, we are all excited to see, Kirk
Kirk
and
and
Spock.
Spock together, yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. So so we have again these are two plots inside the World Destroyer. The Enterprise, the crew that remained on the Enterprise are trying to figure the way out and also block a boarding attempt because whoever is piloting the World Destroyer is trying to board their ship and take it apart.
and they've
And
sent in something like an umbilical, which is essentially sucking the power out of the Enterprise.
yeah, they can't use any
Um,
of their technology, any of their modern
yeah.
technology. And outside, the Farragut again has been badly damaged and is not as, the Farragut is not as, impressive as the Enterprise, not as big or as capable as the Enterprise,
Mhm.
and it's already badly damaged, and they have to figure out a way to help the Enterprise get out.
Yeah, and obviously it's time sensitive, right? Because the scavenger ship is moving on and taking the Enterprise with it, and the
Yeah,
Farragut's like, we got to limp along after them and figure out how to save our other ship.
yeah,
But this puts Kirk in a position of acting captain.
yeah. And the episode kind of starts off with Kirk kind of doubting Captain Vorel's decisions.
Hmm.
And the episode really centers about Kirk kind of learning that command is more complicated than he thought it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's interesting because the Kirk we know is he's certainly a decision maker on his own, but um, Kirk gets put into a position where they're not really able to directly fight the scavenger ship, and um, so one of his, I'll say, methods of trying to get the ship out doesn't work, and essentially like makes him freeze up.
yeah,
Um, and doubt basically his ability to lead them through this difficult situation. So naturally, Spock has to go give him some advice,
yeah,
give him a pep talk, if you will.
yeah. And we do see glimpses of the Kirk we know emerge.
Hmm.
He's able to admit when he's been wrong. He's able to rely on other people for help. He's not like too proud to do
Yeah,
that. Yeah. So
and we see that he can temper his recklessness and
yeah,
also put trust in the crew and what allow them to help him make his decisions.
yeah,
Uh, they basically figure out a way to make it look like they have a bunch of power, whatever it is that the scavenger ship is interested in stealing, and so they attract its attention and effectively help the Enterprise escape from the scavenger ship, and then they
yeah,
blow it up.
yeah. And then there is, of course, a twist at the end, a very nice twist.
Hmm.
When they when they scan, the wreckage of the ship, they find out that the original ship, the War Destroyer, was actually a human ship. It left Earth like in the 21st century, something like that, the early 21st century,
Yeah,
and it lost contact with Earth, and the people on there were apparently descendants of the original crew who kind of developed, their own culture, their own way of living off world.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they phrase it. Like a group of scientists who were concerned because Earth was going through an environmental crisis. And
Yeah.
so they basically built a ship and went off in search of a new place to live. Um, Obviously, never to be heard from again, but here
Yeah.
they are. Their descendants have adapted to effectively living on a ship in space. And um, Pike kind of initially recognizes that one of the scavengers that was trying to board the ship is human because they get into a firefight and then pulls off the spacesuit or whatever, and he's like, "Who is this guy?
Yeah.
He doesn't look like an alien. He looks like me."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's the
Yeah.
twist at the end. But it makes everybody reflect on um, just who they were considering as their enemy, and effectively destroyed.
Yeah.
Particularly Kirk.
Yeah.
At least him feeling like maybe there could have been a better way to handle
Which
the situation.
even if they were aliens, that was still that was still
Yeah,
a
of
conclusion he
course,
could have
of
arrived
course.
to.
Yeah. I know. I
Yeah.
don't know why it had to be humans that made them stop and think about that.
I think it's more like stop and think of who they could have been under different circumstances. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good episode. I like this episode. I think it's
Hmm.
like in the top of the season for me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
I love
so
watching a Kirk who
yeah,
doubts himself and needs some needs some help.
yeah,
Yeah, I love it as a growth episode for him too, because like you said, we know what kind of captain he can be, but since this is pre those days, we get to see a little bit of his arrogance and his recklessness is someone who's a little less mature. Yet he still is very, very close to being able to walk that path.
yeah,
That would be his future. Yeah.
yeah.
And of course, Spock and Kirk. Like now that you say it, I mean, obviously Chapel and Scotty and Who are there to kind of like see Kirk do some reckless things and have some commentary about it. But you're right, it was more about Spock being there.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, on to episode 7. What is Starfleet? This is the shortest episode of the season, time-wise, and it's an interesting choice to make this one the shortest one. It's basically filmed in like a documentary style, and it is a sort of documentary. Remember Erica's little brother Beto? He,
Hmm.
I guess, he won the competition. He filmed the Enterprise crew on a mission um, for the Federation Day Centennial, 100 years for the establishment of the Federation that explores what is Starfleet. The Federation, the Enterprise, is sent to help a planet called Lutani 7, sorry, that is in war with, a neighboring planet called Kazar.
Basically, like in a civil war in its own star system.
Yeah, sort of. The Klingons are also involved. I guess the Klingons are supporting Kazar, and so the Federation is supporting Luchani 7. And
Yeah.
the Enterprise is asked to escort a weapon, I suppose. They don't tell them exactly what they're escorting, but it's supposed to escort to Luchani 7. It turns out to be a weapon of mass destruction. And
Hmm.
not only is it a weapon of mass destruction, it's a weapon that Luciani scientists have engineered out of spacefaring, experimenting on a spacefaring animal of some sort,
Yeah.
abusing it, and yeah,
Almost like mutating it into a weapon of destruction.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, they
it's
call it
not good.
they call it the Jikaru.
Yeah, so the Jakaru is ready, basically leaves the, I'll say, habitat where it has been raised by the Lutani, and they're supposed to escort it to the Lutani, but they realize very quickly that the Jakaru is very aggressive if approached, and it can release this like sonic scream that effectively like blows things up. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, so the core of the enterprise is basically torn between, its moral values and its mission. And you know, the mission is kind of like, protect the Federation because they want to keep the alliance with the Litani because of their sort of Cold War with the
Hmm.
Klingons. It's a very original series sort of plot, like the
Hmm.
a lot of episodes also there harken back to the Cold War. And Beto is going around filming everybody, asking hard questions, and basically kind of annoying everybody.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we get a lot of, I mean, documentary style, we get a lot of like intercut with interviews with the crew.
yeah,
Like you said, he's asking those hard questions, particularly around this mission. And, it's a very secretive mission. Like Pike and Una are really kind of the only ones who know like the most of the details, as you would
yeah,
expect.
yeah,
But it's very obvious to everyone that what they're doing, like you said, might be bordering on the line of immoral or something that's not in line with their ideals.
yeah,
Um, and so Beto is very, very much like inserting himself, trying to get into rooms where meetings are going on, and filming in such a way, like splicing the documentary that makes it Starfleet look dark,
Yeah.
which probably is not the intent when he won the right to film the documentary to follow Starfleet.
Well, yes and no, because of course, at the end of the day, the Enterprise does the right
Yeah,
thing, the moral thing.
yeah,
They let the Jikaru go. They help it escape, and the documentary, as I said, it's a very short episode. It's like only 40
hmm
minutes. Most of the episodes are on the 50 minutes to an hour mark. And at the end of the episode, the documentary actually takes a very optimistic and pro
hmm
Starfleet tone. Like, it doesn't go to the dark places that say Deep Space Nine went to. It doesn't leave you with
right.
any hard
Yeah,
questions. It's very flattering at the end of the day.
it's flattering at the end of the day because the Enterprise crew themselves choose because of their decision and what they choose to do.
Yeah.
And letting helping the Jakaru basically break away from his captors and understand its pain,
Yeah, but
um,
I mean, I think
versus
even
just treating it like a weapon. So
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think about like episodes like I said from the original series, like Private Little War, which
hmm
was also a very
Oh
Cold
yeah.
War inspired episode, but it ended on a very ambiguous tone. It didn't flatter Starfleet at all, and like I said, a lot of
No.
episodes of Deep Space Nine went to the same
Yeah.
way, where people on Starfleet did eventually put the mission above morals. And
I know.
this episode kind of went the very no, Starfleet is great, everybody's super moral, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if he gotten the job to do it on another ship and they did like Private Little War esque? um.
Or
Anyway,
yeah,
I mean, we've seen in other shows where, I mean, take Rayner from like the Discovery, right? Where,
yeah,
he was very determined to like follow the letter of the mission, and if it meant sacrificing like people's lives, so be it. At least when we first meet him, he's that way. So,
yeah. I mean, a few episodes ago, in the zombie episode, Pike
hmm
agreed to cover up for Mbenga, even though Mbenga admitted
yeah,
to lying and to have murdered somebody.
yep,
So yeah, so it's not
yeah,
that so it's not like they're always this super mole, which makes this conclusion kind of it doesn't land for me.
hmm I think this is also a characteristic of what we've seen in Strange New Worlds and other seasons, where in at least one episode, it's a different style. It's
Yeah.
like they just do something really different. So they've had a musical before, now they have a documentary. Um,
Yeah, like I
I've
said
been
before,
kind of coming to expect that now.
yeah, but it's like it's this season, as we said, it's very heavy on the gimmicks. So we had the
Yeah,
zombie episode, now we had the documentary episode. Um, we had the holodeck
yeah.
episode. Yeah, it's kind of
The
a
murder mystery. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
uh, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so on to the next episode, which I have to admit I don't particularly like either. 4.5 Vulcans. Yeah. So Pike, Lan, Chapel, and Uhura are sent on a mission to a planet that doesn't have warp capabilities yet, which means they can't know about the Federation. But the Vulcans encountered this planet before the Federation was formed, so they are aware of the Vulcans. So Pike, Lan, Chapel, and Uhura go through some genetic modification to become Vulcans,
Vulcan.
short for temporary, mission. And they complete their mission and they return back to the Enterprise and then they refuse to turn back into humans. They enjoy being Vulcans too much. They feel, as Vulcans, they feel Vulcans are superior, more logical, more efficient. And they attempt to, turn everybody into a Vulcan fan, into fans of the Vulcan way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we look at them individually, Pike, for example, Pike is actually at a really good point with Battelle. They're obviously like together on the ship. She's recovering, from her Gorn hybrid situation, and she's thinking she's ready to get back to work.
Yeah.
So she's got a very important interview um, to essentially land her a position in, like, I don't know, I think it's like the judicial system
Yeah, I think
of
so.
Starfleet,
Yeah.
something like that. And so it's very important that this like interview or this meeting with that the head of it, who is also Vulcan, goes really well. Pike's there
Yes.
to support her, naturally. Well, Vulcan Pike is not so supportive and, is taking the stance of superiority of Vulcans over humans in the middle of the dinner and really pisses off Patel. So that
Yeah.
doesn't go well. Meanwhile, Uhura is actually exploring a potential like relationship or dating with Beto,
Yeah.
and it's very very new. So they're just kind of thinking about how did they get together. Well, Uhura now is got a different approach to a romantic relationship, and ultimately she kind of mind melds Beto into the perfect boyfriend,
Yeah.
much to Ortegas's dismay, who's like, "Did you brainwash my brother so that you guys could have a functional relationship? Like, what the heck?"
Yeah.
Chapel, as we
Yeah.
know, is actually in a romantic relationship. Obviously with Corby, she's is friends with other people. Just loves being so efficient as a Vulcan that she decides she doesn't need friends anymore. So she essentially like breaks up with everybody on the ship, and wants to be alone. And then you have La'an.
Yeah.
It,
Laan
now
is kind of a different case.
she is. So La'an's kind of reaction to the transformation is to be more of the what we'll term uh, the Vulcan who accepts motions a lot better than the rest of them,
Well,
and
what
she
better is
starts.
a relative term.
It is a relative term, but obviously, Lon, before she's a Vulcan, is like security chief or whatever,
Yeah.
and she's very much into weapons and defense and how to keep everybody
Mhm.
safe. Well, as a Vulcan, obviously, she's going to be superior at that, or so she believes, and so it just makes sense to take over the ship and do things her way because nobody does it better than she does.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so.
she more than logical and efficient. She becomes more obsessed with stealth and
Hmm.
a little more, let's say, conniving than your
Yeah.
average Vulcan. Yeah.
And we should note that this is the exact moment where Kirk decides to visit. He says he's just, the Farragut's still undergoing repairs, and why not come see his brother Sam?
Yeah.
Um, so he's just, visiting the Enterprise and meets up with Scotty, and they obviously are the ones who start to notice La'an is looking like she's about to start a mutiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all of them are very mean to Spock because right now they're full Vulcan and he's only half Vulcan,
Oh yeah.
which makes them superior to him, obviously. Um, and the rest of the crew is like, this has to stop. We have to get them back, and they enlist the help of Una's ex, a Vulcan named Doug, who's fascinated with human culture.
But
Yeah.
he's also apparently a Katra expert and
Yeah.
like a very famous spiritualist. So they managed to arrange a rendezvous with him, and Una is very nervous about seeing him. Like, we normally see her very even keel, but the moment she realizes she has to get in contact with her ex, she's like, "This is not going to go well." And she tries to kind of warn Spock that she might not act like herself, and immediately it's obvious because supposedly she and Doug, like, they see each other and like explosion of chemistry, and they just want to get back together or whatever. They're
Yeah.
really interested in each other, so Spock has to step in and Una decides to pretend that they're married. She's married to Spock in order to make sure that she keeps a level head and stays away from Doug because he's
Yeah,
just so attractive.
yeah,
But ultimately, Doug helps them. He helps them fix the other four so that they return to their normal selves.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's another comedic episode.
Hmm.
It has the same problem I had before with, the Gorn and the Vesda, but this one like takes it up to 11 because it's like just because they turned, genetically into Vulcans, they're suddenly experts on Vulcan culture for some reason. Because I guess
Uh,
it's genetic. Vulcan culture is, I guess, genetic. Which is, it's not even just that it contradicts everything we knew before. It's just kind of really weird to me. Like the show seems to say, your biology determines everything about you, basically.
well, to be honest, I didn't think that deeply about it. I was really into the comedic stuff. Um, I probably laughed the hardest of the entire season with Spock and Una and Doug.
Yeah, that was a funny scene. It really was.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
I couldn't contain myself. I will say we kind of come out with a couple of things for the different characters. So like Battelle gets the job in the judicial department.
Yeah.
Um, Una and Beto like are going to be dating now. Uh,
Yeah, he forgave her, which is nice of him.
really, like I mean, if yeah, brainwashing is kind of like a
Yeah.
it's not something you do, not something you want to happen to you, especially if you're hoping to trust the person's going to be your partner.
Yeah, especially
Whatever.
this early in the relationship. And
Yeah. And then Spock and La'an kind of acknowledge. Well, they acknowledge what's between them. I would
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Well, I mean, I still don't get the impression it's like supposed to become a serious thing.
No.
Like,
No.
yeah,
No. It's not meant to be serious. It's yeah. It's
it's
like
like
two lonely people who are becoming friends
with
decide
benefits.
with benefits, and that's it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Next episode.
yeah. So Terrarium. Okay, essentially they this is like an Ortegas episode.
Yeah,
Well needed because obviously Ortegas is like PTSD and some insubordination and some of those things we saw in the other episodes have not been resolved. So been waiting for this one. I don't know why it had to come all the way at the end. Um, but essentially Ortegas is given a mission to like manually fly a shuttle into a part of space where they need to collect some data, and a wormhole appears. She gets sucked in, and to the extent that essentially everyone on the Enterprise who's watching what happens kind of feels like it's very possible that she's dead, like her shuttle could not survive being sucked into that wormhole. But what actually happened is she crash landed on one of the, I'll say, many like planets that are on the other side of the wormhole or inside it. I'm not quite sure.
it's a moon. Yeah, it's kind of a moon. It's a very almost
Yeah,
barren moon, basically.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so she's stranded there. She's obviously like her survival like training is kicked in. She's
yeah,
thinking about how she's going to like just hang in there until the Enterprise comes to get her because she's pretty sure they will. They won't leave her behind.
yeah,
Um, But the rock she landed on is pretty sketchy.
yeah,
There's some
yeah.
really nasty creatures on there.
Yeah, like I said, it's nearly barren. It doesn't have any water. Her own
Yeah,
rations have been like,
yeah,
destroyed in the crash. And then the shuttle that she was on that she thought she could use as shelter also kind of crashes and it gets destroyed. So she's basically stranded
yeah.
there. Um, yeah. But luckily for her, She meets another person on the moon, and apparently another being is stranded there, and that being is a Gorn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So immediately she's, you know, like, let's just bring all the PTSD back.
yeah,
But she's obviously like, she's very aggressive about it, because how could she possibly trust a Gorn when she's seen what damage they do and how they just, you know, destroy life.
yeah,
But anyway, she doesn't want to trust the Gorn. There's nobody else, just the two of them. The Gorn actually saves her and gets injured in the process.
yeah,
And the Gorn has a shelter, which is the only other shelter around. And so Ortegas kind of needs the Gorn to survive. So
yeah. And the Gorn seems to need her because the Gorn is lonely.
yeah, the
The
Gorn is lonely and injured.
and injured. Yeah,
And it probably, in her eyes, they have a truce.
yeah,
I will say, I wouldn't. It's not like clear that she. It's clear that she doesn't trust the Gorn, but she needs somewhere to stay. They need to stay away from the creatures. The Gorn has like some kind of defensive shield around the camp, so it's like they're stuck together.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and there is a hint that there is another presence there. They see a strange
mm.
light in the sky in the distance, but they don't know what it is.
Meanwhile, the Enterprise has realized that this wormhole is the opening to the wormhole is not going to stay open forever. It's closing, and so they've essentially wedged the ship in there.
Yeah,
Um, but I forgot to mention that, as you would expect with all the other series we've seen, they need to be somewhere else. They're supposed to be
of course.
collecting data in this part of space, and then they have a more urgent mission to give some kind of, I don't know, like medical
Yeah, a vaccine of some sort, right? They need.
medicine or vaccines, of course, to
Yeah,
in a rendezvous with another ship, and it's very urgent because those people are sick and they need it. So they really don't have the time to be sticking around and looking for a lost crew member. Um, we see this all the time. Like, this is anyway. So anyway, they wedge the ship in the hole, and they're like, "Oh crap! There's a hole. Like, there's like hundreds or thousands of moons in here, and how do we know where Ortegas is?" So they try to stretch the time they do have as much as possible to try to figure out where she is and save her, but the clock is ticking.
hmm yeah, and actually, against all against all odds, Ortegas and the Gorn actually do become friends. They manage to understand each other. The Gorn apparently understands, English or whatever the Federation calls the language. Um,
Standard.
Standard, yeah. And they kind of manage to communicate, and they really do become sort of friends. And well, they arrive to the point where the their shelter gets destroyed. Basically, all hope seems lost, and then the Enterprise manages to rescue them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very in keeping with like the Galileo episode from the original series, because they reuse that trope of where um, they essentially take the last of their technology, what they Ortegas has been trying to rebuild to like effectively communicate with the Enterprise, and
Yeah.
they end up blowing it up at the last minute as a last resort. And it sets the whole planet on fire.
Yeah.
And essentially is like the biggest flare you could imagine, like SOS, which
Yeah.
is how the Enterprise recognizes where they are and like comes down to rescue them.
Yeah, and then when the away team lands, they see the Gorn, they assume, enemy, and they kill her.
Yeah, La'an immediately shoots the Gorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is makes Ortegas very upset because that was her friend.
Yeah.
And they'd survived through hell, basically, and somehow, against all the odds, managed to even survive setting their own planet on fire to be rescued.
Yeah.
They don't, yeah,
Yeah.
only
Oh,
Ortegas makes it.
Yeah. Also, it turns out that the presence they sensed before was the matrons, which kind of directed them to land on the
Hmm.
same moon, so they could observe them working together. Um,
Yeah, the Metrons was curious to see if, the humans and the Gorns could actually like not kill each other on sight.
yeah. Which,
So
yeah,
I
which is
forgot
like
about that part.
that part pissed me off so much, so much. It was so unnecessary. Why was it even there?
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
like the episode. It was a good episode. Like we finally got to see another side to the Gorn, and then suddenly, Stranger Worlds has to shoehorn like another nod to the original series. Why? Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
yeah,
I like to. I enjoyed this episode too. Um, only the parts where Ortegas and the Gorn were figuring out how to deal with each other and how to work together.
yeah,
The rest of it was just kind of like, okay, the Enterprise is, upset that they've lost a crew member, but they are always in the situation where they have to decide the greater good, right?
yeah,
Like, why did you have to bring the vaccines into it? We see that so much.
yeah,
Um, we've seen that many times. It's definitely a trope. I liked watching Ortegas in this like survival situation because she kind of shone a little bit. Like she could make her own. She figured out how to make her own water. She figured out how to make like a translator so she could understand the Gorn.
yeah,
Um, somehow she knew how to like repurpose Gorn ship parts into utilizing it to try to signal the Enterprise. But it was nice to see her or see her settle something within herself regarding her previous experience with the Gorn and getting to realize that not all Gorn are the same.
yeah. That's true.
Yeah. R.I.P. the Gorn.
Yeah, it didn't even have a name, right?
No, it was just. I think they tried to say or tried to intimate it was a female. Is
Yeah,
that
I
right?
mean they kind of said that. Yeah, that it was a female.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And obviously, the Gorn didn't ever think the Gorn would be rescued because,
yeah.
if
The
you
Gorn.
can't fend for yourself, you're considered weak, right?
Yeah.
So, whereas Ortegas was like, my buddies are going to come get me. So, anyway,
Yeah. Well, we have arrived to the last episode of the season. New life and new civilizations. So, remember a few episodes ago when an evil entity called the Vesda took over Gamble, the new nurse, and um, killed him,
got
and
loose.
yeah, and then got loose. Turns out it's back. Who could have guessed?
Surprise!
Surprise. So I guess it somehow managed to escape through the transporter. Like reconstruct
Yeah,
itself through the
I
transporter.
hate to say it, but since that first season where they like introduced keeping like people's whatever their patterns in the transporter buffer, that's just a great plot device.
Yeah.
So essentially, the Vesta like uses a transporter buffer to send itself off to another planet that is related to the Macroon or whatever that civilization is that had like trapped the evil
Yeah.
supposedly, or worshipped it, or let's just say worshipped the beings that trapped the evil. um and its purpose is to get back into the temple and release all the rest of the Vesta.
Yep.
So it basically has to go to this planet where naturally Corby is.
Of course.
Yeah, because he's still studying this artifact and like this ancient artifact. He's so obsessed with it. Um, and the Vesta creates a cult on the planet.
Yeah, the planet is called the Skygoan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, they worship the Vesda there, like really worship them. So Yeah, so it's not in Federation space, obviously.
Yeah.
So the Enterprise has to go undercover to infiltrate the cult and to get close to, Gamble slash Vesda.
And stop whatever,
Well,
the evil is up to.
yeah, and Mabenga, of course, feels very responsible for it, so of course he's going.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There's a fight ensues. The Vesda escapes through the portal, I guess, back to the original temple.
yeah,
And somehow Mbinga realizes this prophecy um, about who's going to defeat the Vesda. Like he's part of that prophecy, and so he's someone who can actually go through the portal as well and follow the Vesda. So it's Mbinga and the Vesda, aka possessed Gamble,
yeah.
um, who are stuck together in the temple, good and the evil. What do you say? Stuff is going on with Batel on the ship.
Stuff is going on.
So
Yeah,
that's all I can say about it is, Battelle obviously had an extreme reaction to the evil inside Gamble those few episodes ago. And she's still having, I guess, some kind of reaction and also some kind of like almost like dreams or like sense that she is somehow connected to this Vesda, and she has some purpose related to that. So somehow, like they're scanning her, trying to figure out what's going on with her, and Chapel realizes that the pattern of the statue that was in the temple, which was called the Beholder, actually matches the life pattern of Battelle.
yeah.
So they're like, is this Battelle? Which somehow could work because of the space-time reality warp in the temple.
Yeah, it turns out that Batel's like the key to keep the Vesda at bay forever. She has to be like
Yeah.
there's this statue thing in the middle of the temple that seems to be like the thing that keeps it all together. And it seems like Batel has to become the thing or enter into the thing. I'm not so sure. They don't really explain it very well.
I
But
think I think she was I think they try to pose it as like she was chosen as the beholder or the guardian that like keeps the Vesda contained,
yeah,
and it is her destiny to go back to the temple and actually do that. Um and then she will effectively at that point become uh the guardian statue that they originally saw in the previous episode. So it's her destiny to seal the evil away.
yeah.
Um and
And
she ultimately accepts that.
yeah, and basically it means that she's sacrificing her life to do it. So yeah, yeah. And well, before she does that, she has this moment where she like shows Chris like a possible future that they could have had, like a
Yeah.
lifetime together. Like they get married, they have kids, they grow old together.
hmm
Which is
Pike like thwarts his own destiny, which
yeah,
he's been worried
that's
about.
yeah, which is basically yeah. It's like it's a future they wouldn't have had anyway because of Pike's future
hmm
anyway.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they essentially, it's an illusion, right? But the whole
yeah,
purpose is that they get to spend a lifetime together, like you said, that they wouldn't have had otherwise. But it can't last forever because Battelle has a destiny to fulfill, and
yeah,
so she and Pike need to let go of each other.
yep,
And yep, that's what happens.
yeah. She sacrifices herself, and the Vesda is sealed away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is the end of Battelle and Pike
And
together.
the story of the Vesda, which is like, I'm sorry if I'm being a downer on this season because I feel like I'm complaining about almost every episode, but like, we are introduced to this like huge evil thing entity in one episode, and the next time it appears, you're already done with it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, if we are not done with it, if it will return like next season, then Batel's sacrifice would have been for nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it feels kind of, I don't know, it feels weird. It feels strange. I feel like maybe it was their way to write the character off. Maybe the actress didn't want to return.
Yes. I was gonna
Yeah.
say the cynic in me thinks that they couldn't have Pike and Battelle be together. They just didn't feel like they could have Pike and Battelle work out because of his ultimate destinies and the way he's showcased in TOS. So they just found a way to break them up.
Yeah.
um, and that was to essentially get rid of Battelle like permanently.
Yeah.
And normally you would just kill him off, and she had a lot of near misses and like that.
No, but I think if that was the purpose, then they would have killed her off in the first episode. I mean, that was the perfect
Yeah,
time to kill her off. I think maybe like the actress just wanted to do one more season, and then she was like, "I'm not doing anymore." So they had
yeah.
to had to stretch her story for the entire season, basically.
Really?
That's the
That's
impression I
even
get.
more disappointing.
That's the impression I get. I don't know this for sure. I don't have any inside
But here's
information, but
what
it's my impression.
concerns me about that possibility is, I think in previous seasons we felt like there was a big bad waiting to be defeated
Yeah.
by the end of the season. And we don't get that in this season. We get halfway through is when we get introduced to the ancient evil, and it's not like an ultimate, it's supposed to be an ultimate enemy, but like you said, it gets resolved in another episode at the very end. It's like,
Yeah, it doesn't like lurk around for other episodes or anything.
yeah. So if, for example, they had not needed to, let's say, write Battelle out of the show, what else would they have done with this season that could have made it better?
Well, I think as I said before, I think actually they had to make the fifth episode under the Vesda was introduced. They should have made it the last episode of the season, and then you could have had all of season three to introduce us to Gamble first of all, and then you had for
Yeah,
season four to make like the Vesda like a serious threat.
yeah.
I think that would have been a better
But I
way
don't
to
think
go
they
about
were
it.
ever intended to be the serious threat because, I mean, one, they resolved it so quickly. It just is like, it's almost like they didn't have a serious threat plan for the season and they just kind of
I mean,
took
you don't really.
they took a whole, took a couple of different things. They had some comedic ones
Yeah,
that like we would never take seriously. They had the Vesda that we were supposed to take seriously, but we didn't get enough time with it to actually like get invested in it. They had the Gorn kind of resolved in this season, so it's very it's I felt like this season didn't know what it was. That's how I
yeah,
felt at the end.
it could be. I mean, you don't really need a big bad. A lot of Trek shows didn't
You
have
don't.
a big bad for every season or every series. You could have just made good episodes. That's a possibility.
Right. And I'm not saying I need a big bad for this show because I prefer like episodic format.
Yeah,
But the reason I prefer episodic format is because I like to see the character like growth and development
yeah.
and like how what they do with those things over the course of the season. And I wasn't a fan of most of what happened in this season with our
Me too.
characters.
Me too. Me too.
So to me, this is, I mean, obviously it's the weakest season of all three. And I just didn't get a lot out of it other than some laughs.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like it's an accumulation of a lot of the problems that I've seen
Yeah.
pop up here and there in the first and second
Hmm.
season, but here they're like coming,
They're glaring.
they're very glaring already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The reused material, the tropes that we just can't seem to get away from,
the gimmicks.
um,
Yeah,
the gimmicks.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the way that the characters kind of flail around because they're kind of constrained because a lot of them are characters that are
Yeah.
established in other shows, so they have a destined, end point, but
Right.
you have to kind of
So they
develop
can't get
them.
too far into one thing or another
Yeah,
because we kind of already know where they're going to end up. So if there are relationships, let's say for example, they can't be long lived
yeah,
because we kind of know they don't exist in the future. So
Yeah, so they kind of
Yeah.
wrote themselves into a corner by putting in so many
Hmm.
characters that are already established in other shows.
And they also just used a lot of things that they established as uh kind of like hallmarks. They just used them in a very silly way. So like using the Illyrian blood to fix Batel.
Yeah, but it didn't work
um
even. It didn't even work.
it
So.
didn't and it didn't work. But I'm like, you made such a serious issue about who Una was and how she has to fight for her position in the Federation and like be accepted by them. And how serious it is that she's not inciting genetic change, against the regulations of Starfleet and a bunch of things. You're like, let's just use it.
Yeah.
Or, like Pike, just like as you said with Mbinga, just going like, you murdered a guy, but
But you're my
I wouldn't have
friend,
mentioned
so
that.
yeah.
But I would have mentioned that in my report.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And Pike is shown as a very moral character.
Yeah. So
So,
I mean, I think the obvious solution would be to like focus on the original characters and the characters that aren't that established, like Mbenga,
mhm.
like I don't know, well, Sam Kirk, characters that exist in other parts of the franchise but aren't really developed, or characters, original characters, Ortega's,
Well, I think it's kind of clear at this point they don't plan to develop them. I mean, they still
yeah.
could.
I
They have
mean,
two more
yeah.
seasons, but
Exactly. And instead they choose to go back to, I don't know, Spock's relationship drama and
yeah,
Scotty and like this they are writing themselves into corners, and the problems are starting to show.
yeah. I agree with you. I went back and rewatched parts of all these episodes. And there's really I can count on one hand like the number of things that I really liked out of this whole season, which is a lot less than I think from previous seasons.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
A lot of these episodes feel like cliches and tropes and rehashed things. Yeah.
mhm, yep. It doesn't really surprise me because in my experience, if a show is really good, like the first two seasons are usually like they're really finding their footing and they're getting really good, and then usually something flubs up the third
Hmm.
season. But we still have two more seasons to go, so hopefully
Yeah.
it's going to take a turn for the better
Yeah.
in the
Honestly,
in the material.
I mean, in the past, it used to be like the other way around. Like, the first two seasons would be like
Hmm.
a mid, and then like around the third season, they would find their footing and become
Well,
very
that
good.
like in Discovery, that's what they did, right? Discovery got
Yeah.
better at the third season.
Yeah. And also, in classic track, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, arguably Voyager, arguably. um, Enterprise definitely became much better after the first two seasons. The first two seasons are
Yeah.
so boring. Um, but yeah, and I think in this modern era of like streaming, there's a lot of pressure on the first season to be great out of the gate. So that's what we get. We get like shows that like kind of blow their whole everything they can do on the first season or two, and then
Hmm.
like kind of run out of ideas when they come like to later seasons.
I don't know. I mean, look what the writers did with Discovery in like I mean, I know they went into the future and they could just make they had no canon to restrain them, but
Yeah.
um it proved that they could come up with new material.
Oh, they can come up with new returns,
And I know
definitely.
they can like
But even in Discovery, I mean, even I like the latter seasons much better than the first
mhm,
two. But even then, they weren't like
yeah.
as good as like yeah.
Hmm. So I have to say, my preference, at least for this show, is that I like to see the comedy and I like to see some of the tropes or the cliches, like you said. I like to see it used a couple of times. Like, if you have 2 episodes in a 10 episode season that are kind of cliche, but like funny and just remind us of why we love the original series so much, I'm happy with that. But when you start to put it in, like sneak it into all of your episodes, or you're not really putting thought into making it
Why are you using those
refreshing,
cliches?
it then you're then I'm disappointed. So
Yeah,
I'm, because I want new too. I want, like, I want to be invested in the characters and where they're going. So it's, I'm glad Ortega's kind of got some of the limelight in this season, but most of the season it was very negative, and it only flipped around at the end, and that's not typically what I want to see in my character arcs. I want to, like, see the growth. Like, La'an has had really good growth in the last 2 seasons
yeah,
before this. Like, we got to know her as a character. We got to see, like, how closed off she was, and see her open up and learn to deal with her fears and the trauma that she went through when she was young. um and I don't need to see that type of arc for all the other characters, but like you said, it's better to get to know them across the season and see that growth happen, and not just like, oh, let's talk about it here and here and then just fix it in the end. So they did a lot of that
yeah,
across this whole season. Every character, like, if they had a something going on, it was like it just wasn't given enough time to be fully fleshed out. So it's
yeah,
disappointing.
yeah.
Well, what was your favorite episode then, Soda?
I think it was
If you had to pick
Terrarium.
one.
I think it was Terrarium.
Terrarium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Salad to Ate Its Tail, it's like a close second.
Um, the Kirk episode for me was my favorite.
The Salad to
Yeah.
Ate Its Tail, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because I enjoyed seeing, I enjoyed them showing Kirk before he was, like, the great captain that we know he is.
Yeah.
I like to see him doubt himself like become a little more polished through his experience. Um, I just like the actor who plays Kirk. I mean, he's done such a good job in this show,
Yeah,
and
he
it's
is.
not
He
going to
is.
surprise me if he takes more of a front seat in the following seasons.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. I mean, he's so funny when he was doing the Shatner acting in The Last Frontier. I just
Oh, and there were
laughed
bloopers
so
at the
much.
end. There was like bloopers at the end, like
Oh
for the
yeah.
fake show. That was cute. That was really cute.
um, I uh I like the actor who plays Pike when he gets to do things out of, like, his, like, out of the norm. So when he was
Yeah,
playing the writer
yeah.
in that episode,
Or,
or when
or the
he,
Vulcan. Yeah,
or the Vulcan. I like to see some of these character or some of these actors or actresses get to do some of those silly things that just entertain us. So
yeah,
I didn't care for the whole Amelia Moon detective, like, plot. I like seeing all the actors get to play different characters because we've seen that in the past. Remember when they all did, like, the fairy tale story
yeah,
in the
yeah,
first season?
yeah,
And La'an got to be a princess with a little dog she
yeah,
carried around. Like, those things entertain me. But we've seen the detective in the holodeck, the detective solving the mystery in the holodeck way too many times. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
so, uh, do you think we'll see Roger Corby again?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will. I mean, I will be surprised if his disappearance won't be like an episode.
Hmm. So maybe we'll get to see him, and I mean, but what more could they possibly do with him in Chapel? Because ultimately, we know he's going to go off on a dig or something, and she's not going to hear from him again. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, well, I mean, you can ask the same question about what they can do with Spock and Chapel when we know that eventually he
Yeah.
won't want her anymore, and she will want him. Um,
Oh, Spock. I mean, I'm done with his love stories.
yeah, yeah, it's
I'm burned
really,
out.
yeah,
I feel like because he's so much more learning to be so much more open with who he is in this show, and he's very closed off in the beginning of the original series, that they're working their way towards something dramatic that
maybe,
is going to
maybe,
make him just, yeah, be
yeah.
who he is, who Nimoy Spock is. But I hate that they might be doing it through a bunch of failed relationships.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really talk about it, but they put a lot of scenes of Lan and Spock dancing in this season,
So many,
and
so many.
really mostly just kind of probably because the actress that plays Lan is a great dancer, and I guess they looked
Mhm.
good together. Um,
And you notice it's like all the tango,
yeah,
which is supposed to be the passionate, one of the more passionate ballroom
dances,
dances.
yeah.
Yes.
It's weird. It's very weird.
Well, what do you think about Spock and La'an and their friends with benefits situation?
That I don't know who came up with this and why.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat as you. I am so tired of Spock's love life. I'm ready
Yeah.
for a different story.
It almost feels like we're watching a teenage Spock like go through high school drama with his
Yeah,
like girlfriends and stuff. I'm
yeah,
like, how it's just so strange.
yeah. I mean, we have an upcoming Starfleet Academy show. That's where I expect a lot of romance plots. I don't need them in Strange New
Hmm.
Worlds.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think by contrast, Uhura and Beto, I like their chemistry.
yeah. They're cute
Uh,
together.
they
Yeah,
were cute. So if we're talking like a youthful like couple, that doesn't bother me.
yeah.
Um, and I felt, of course, really bad for Pike and Battelle because I mean it was kind of clear that they really loved each other and they could have had something of a future together if not for this season.
Yeah.
So, um, can we get Bingo away from his dark past? Because I prefer to
Um,
watch him like struggle with the fact that he sent one of his people to his death.
yeah.
I enjoy watching him like advise the commanders of the ship. Um, I like watching him be a badass medical doctor,
Yeah, I agree.
but I don't need to see him be an assassin,
Yeah.
and that's too much for me. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I would like more medical drama with him than another Klingon death drama.
yeah. Really, the Klingons with the Doc Ra thing was just it was such an insert. It's like, well, let's
Yeah.
just, we need something. Bring the Klingons back. They're always there in the, back pocket. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think we'll hear more from the Romulans? Because we kind of did with Lan this season, but not really. Um, yeah.
I've realized now that we've ended every season with someone being like uh someone going through something super traumatic and probably being left with PTSD
Yeah.
and it's Pike again.
Yeah.
Poor Pike. Because
Well, I mean,
he
yeah.
definitely wasn't doing good when he left Discovery, and um,
Well, I mean, an episode previously that was Ortega, so
and then in last season it was definitely Ortega's. We definitely saw La'an's trauma in season one.
Well, I guess it's part of Starfleet life.
Yeah, it is. So what would like one last question? What would you like to see in season four? I mean, other than how you think they can fix the corner they've written themselves into.
Well, I do want to see more fixes. I want to see, they started in Terrarium, and I expect to see more humanization of the Gorn, I guess you can say. And I hope for more good standalone episodes in the style of, the Kirk episode. Um,
Hmm.
Basically.
I just hope to see more Kirk. I know I mean, if you're just talking about Enterprise missions, I know it's part and parcel with them going out to help people. That's what they do. I'd like to see them encounter more new alien races that give them pause and like
Yeah.
that they have
Yeah.
to figure out how to communicate with, or just do some of the Trekkie things that we like.
Yeah, and honestly, if they want, to focus on romance, I hope they don't go with Spock again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they'll have to address probably where Spock and La'an are with their relationship in some way in season 4. But we
I
could probably
guess.
start off with, oh, yeah, they called it off. It was, they got what they wanted out of it, and that's that.
Yeah. I would be okay if Doug and Una are back together. That would be great.
Yeah. They had some really good comedic moments.
Yeah.
So Una's had her spotlight, La'an's had her spotlight, Ortegas has had her spotlight, Uhura did. Who else are we missing? I mean, Obinga's definitely had his.
Yeah.
Chapel's had hers. Pike and
Well,
Spock. Have we covered everybody?
well,
Scotty? Are we? You know what? I want more Scotty. I'm okay with that.
yeah, Scotty should get more limelight, and also Pelia. That would be cute.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
Palia is just a like she's the literal like comedic character in the whole show.
yeah,
Because we got to see her more of her quote antiquity business,
yeah,
like all the stuff that she keeps in her quarters, and she's just there to be like the oddball character.
yeah.
Obviously, Sam Kirk is untapped potential. I mean,
If they
we
ever
know where his
decide,
path
yeah,
ends up, but hey, get him. Let us see him meet his future wife.
yeah, and he has
Come on.
kids too. I mean, he needs to meet her soon.
And how he decides maybe to like leave Starfleet and go do the Geneva thing,
Yeah,
or go off and maybe find a career outside of Starfleet and start a family. Like those things would be interesting.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Um,
but at this point, they might have to introduce a whole new character if they need some more storyline.
yeah.
So, this does not deter me from watching the next season of Strange New Worlds. I'm
Oh
still
no, I'll
invested in the
definitely,
show.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, yeah.
so bring it on. Let's we can only go uphill from here, I hope.
I hope, yeah.
Thanks to everyone for listening. That was our recap of season 3 of Strange New Worlds. Soda and I are excited about some of the other Star Trek shows that might be coming out. Um, so stay tuned for what's next.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.